The Spanish Civil War, fought from 1936 to 1939, was a brutal conflict that tore Spain apart. It was a war that not only devastated the nation, but also set the stage for future global turmoil. It pitted the Republicans, a democratically elected government, against the Nationalists, a group of rebels led by General Franco. The Republicans were a coalition of left-wing groups, including communists and anarchists, while the Nationalists were supported by conservative and fascist elements. This war became a microcosm of the larger ideological struggle brewing in Europe between fascism, communism, and democracy. The battle lines drawn in Spain mirrored the ideological divisions that were spreading across the continent. The world watched as these forces clashed on Spanish soil, a grim foreshadowing of the global conflict to come. International observers and journalists flocked to Spain, reporting on the brutal realities of the war and the ideological battles being fought. The war's significance extended far beyond Spain's borders. It drew in international volunteers, including the famous international brigades, who saw the conflict as a fight for the future of Europe. It became a testing ground for new military technologies and tactics, particularly for Germany and Italy, who saw an opportunity to advance their expansionist ambitions. The Luftwaffe's bombing of Guernica became a symbol of the horrors of modern warfare. The conflict also served as a stark warning to the rest of the world about the dangers of appeasement and the rising tide of fascism. The failure of the international community to effectively intervene highlighted the weaknesses of the League of Nations. The Spanish Civil War was a pivotal moment in 20th century history. Key events such as the Battle of Madrid and the Siege of Barcelona became legendary, symbolizing the fierce resistance and tragic losses. It was a tragedy for Spain, leaving the country scarred for generations. The war resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths and left a legacy of division and trauma that would last for decades. More broadly, it served as a crucial turning point on the road to World War II. The lessons learned and the alliances formed during the Spanish Civil War would shape the strategies and outcomes of the global conflict that followed. Germany, under the rule of Adolf Hitler, saw the Spanish Civil War as an opportunity to expand its influence and test its military might. This conflict, which began in 1936, was a proving ground for the Nazi regime's ambitions and military strategies. Hitler, recognizing a kindred spirit in Franco, threw his support behind the nationalist faction. This alliance was not just political, but also deeply ideological, as both leaders shared a vision of authoritarian rule and a disdain for communism. German involvement in the war took several forms, including the deployment of the infamous Condor Legion, a Luftwaffe unit comprised of bomber squadrons and fighter groups. This unit was instrumental in providing air support and conducting strategic bombings. The Condor Legion's brutal bombing of Guernica, a Basque town in northern Spain, on April 26, 1937, became a symbol of the horrors of modern warfare. The attack was meticulously planned to instill fear and break the spirit of the Republican forces. This attack, immortalized in Pablo Picasso's haunting painting Guernica, shocked the world with its indiscriminate targeting of civilians and the sheer scale of destruction. Picasso's work captured the agony and chaos of the event, becoming an enduring symbol of anti-war sentiment. Beyond the air war, Germany also provided the nationalists with weapons, tanks, and military advisors, playing a crucial role in their eventual victory. These contributions were vital in tipping the balance of power in favor of Franco's forces. Germany's intervention in Spain was not purely altruistic. The Nazi regime had its own strategic interests, seeking to establish a foothold in Western Europe and counteract the influence of the Soviet Union. The conflict served as a training ground for the German military, allowing them to test new weapons and tactics that would later be employed on a larger scale during World War II. This real-world experience was invaluable for the Wehrmacht, providing insights that would shape their future campaigns. The war also provided a platform for Germany to project its power on the international stage and forge alliances with other fascist regimes. This collaboration with Italy and other fascist states laid the groundwork for the Axis powers, which would soon plunge the world into a global conflict.